Evergrande struggling firm to raise $1.5 billion as debt payment looms. So if you haven't been following, Evergrande is this huge construction company. It's based out of China. I think it started, if I remember correctly, it was like something in the early 2000s, late 90s, and it just has basically it's leveraged its debt over and over and over, like leveraged everything it owns and the debt over and over and over again as it has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, and owns like a ton um, of the livable, rentable space in China, which is huge, right? I mean, China's market has grown so big just in the last 20 years, comparatively speaking to the previous 20 years before that. So they are looking at, so the Chinese property giant Evergrande is said it is selling $1.5 billion or 1.5 billion pounds or 1.1 billion pounds stake in its own it owns in a commercial bank as it scrambles to raise money owed to customers, investors, and suppliers. So they were paying a whole lot of interest only to keep the whole business operating. And when COVID hit, like everything changed, right? Everything has changed, and now they're the remnants of when COVID hit in the beginning of March 2020 is not real. Well, actually, for them it was even before that, but the effects a year and a half later are being felt, right? And this a lot of people would say that Evergrande owns so much real estate in China, and so they even own a sports team, a soccer team or football team, if you will, and so many different businesses and so many different industries and niches that it's like they're too big to fail. But some are saying that China is just going to let it happen and let the chips fall where they may. That probably won't end well. I mean, I am not a fan of I'm not a fan of just letting things fall where they may, and I'm also not a fan of like let's bail out the banks and all that stuff like that. Is was not great either, right? There's got to be a middle ground there, and so they're gonna go and raise this money. I hope that they're able to do it for everybody's sake, because even though this is in China, it absolutely has effects to us and here in the States and the rest of the world, which is why people have their eyes on what's going on there, and affects. It potentially affects everybody, just as the U.S. banking crisis happened in the end of '07, '08. It has a ripple effect. So I'll be doing a better job going forward here, tracking the Evergrande situation. And the business lesson, the entrepreneur lesson that I want to bring back to you with this is making sure that you're not over leveraging yourself. Look, we all want to roll the dice, right? And the no risk, no risk it, no biscuit, as they say. But we have to find where we're comfortable and where, because like I've been in that situation where we had a ton of money, like close to like $1 million tied up in one company, and that company wasn't they weren't getting their contracts renewed by government contracts, and it was like, whoa, like are they going to all of a sudden default? And if they do, are we going to get our money? Probably not. We're going to be in line, and it's going to take a while to get that money. So you have to it's a constant balancing act of like how much money can we put out there, how much can we leverage, and what can we do to mitigate, so we're 80% of our business isn't coming from 20% of our customers. And sometimes you need to make sure that you're like kind of because nobody wants to cut that company off, right? It's like, oh, they're so big, they need this, they need the parts, and in this case, it was a truck parts company, and it's like you don't want to cut them off because they'll just go and deal with someone else, and in that case, they were like when we finally were like, hey, we can't keep leveraging. We aren't the bank. We can't just let you keep taking and like hoping that everything's going to turn out. Now, fortunately, everything did work out, but there was a couple months there where it was like, we could lose everything. If that million plus dollars just basically evaporates. It could cause a domino effect that just the rest of the company will feel. Even having 11 locations and four other companies in our nucleus to kind of soften that blow. So I just want to caution everybody. Make sure that you're not over leveraging your business, and you're not allowing your customers to get so far out if you're holding on to that debt for them.